Hey, what's going on, y'all? I want to welcome y'all to the Melanated Travelers Podcast. But before we get started, it's a few things that I would like for y'all to do. If y'all have been vibing with the podcast so far and have been enjoying the episodes, please be sure to write us a review. And if you'll leave your social handles, I'll be sure to give you a shout out on the show and also on Instagram and all social handles. But I want to welcome y'all to the Melanated Travelers Podcast, episode number 5. I have an amazing guest in the building. I have KJ here. KJ, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Great, great. So just to give y'all a little background on KJ, she's an educator. She currently runs, and she's also a content creator, and we'll dive deeper in that. She also has a blog and also has a podcast. And what's that podcast called again?
It is called Loves Teaching Will Travel.
Loves teaching will travel. Loves teaching will travel. Y'all heard that, and I'll make sure to have our information in the show notes, on the podcast and also on YouTube as well. So, I mean, let's just get it started. First of all, you've been traveling all over the world. Share some of the amazing destinations you've been to so far.
Well, Finland, Italy, Spain, Canada, London. I've been a couple places in Europe.
Okay, Europe. So that leads me to my point. So I've had guests on in the past that have not per se in certain areas of Europe have not had a good experience, to be honest with you. So I want to hear your experience in Europe. Some of the places where you've been that probably surprised you, and also some places maybe you felt uncomfortable, or if you felt uncomfortable at all in any parts of Europe.
Every time I've gone, whether I've gone solo with my family, I've always felt comfortable. I've had so many amazing experiences. My first solo trip was actually in Iceland, and I can say hands down, it is probably one of the safest countries you'll ever be, even as a Black woman. I think that there are some people who go to places and they experience some negativity, but I've had nothing but positive experiences. And I find that even in places like Finland, where you don't see that much diversity, like the people are so welcoming. I mean, like they don't bother you. Like no one bothers you. They're not even thinking about you. So I've had like nothing but good experiences.
Okay, so you brought up Finland. So like I've noticed that that's Finland is starting to catch some popularity. I know I have some friends from the past that did some abroad here while I was in high school. They're from Finland. So you're starting to see a lot more creators flocking that way. What drew you to Finland as the first like solo travel place that you decided to go? Because normally most people go to Mexico, South America, but you went to Finland.
So it was actually a work trip. The first trip was a work trip. We went as a group,
Okay.
and you get time to go off on your own. And I was like, okay, it's really, really quiet. It's safe, easy to get around. And I was like, okay, I think I'd like to come back again. Went back a second time, went back a third time. And every time I've gone back, I've always just felt comfortable, safe, just like it's one of those places that you feel you can go to and have like not even a care in the world. It is definitely one of those places where you just no stress, no fuss. You just go mind your business. They mind their bit, like they literally mind their business. And there if you need help with anything, you're looking for something, people are willing to help you, and I like that. But outside of that, they mind their business. They're not worried about you. They go about their business, you go about your business, and everybody's happy and content. And I've never had an issue there.
Wow. Okay. So the visa process there, is it pretty to I mean the processing to get into the country. Um, maybe share some tactics with some of the listeners and viewers about how to navigate through that country. It seems like geographically everything is spread out amongst the country. Like how did you go about navigating through that?
So, with respect to Finland, if you're a US citizen, you can definitely go there as with every other country in Europe. You know, you have your passport, you have valid passport, you're good to go. I'm not sure what things are going to be like with the upcoming changes where you do have to pay a bit of a fee. I know people have been
Mhm.
hearing about that, but I haven't experienced any issues with getting in the country. You know, got my ticket, went, and I was pretty good.
Okay. So you went. So no, uno, dos, tres. So you went 3 times to Finland so far.
Yep, 3 times.
Wow, wow.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
tell us some of the, I guess, historic three trifecta in Finland, y'all. So it got to be dope, man. If y'all listening to this, add Finland to your list. Let's share some of the historical landmarks that you visited. Some some attractions, some tourist attraction, and maybe some things that's not on the list as tourist attractions that you experienced there.
So, in all honesty, I've only been in the Helsinki area. I'm curious about going to Tampere. I'm curious about going to Turku and going further to Lapland. It's pretty easy getting around the country. Helsinki wise, easy to navigate. Hop on a train, hop on a bus, hop on a tram. It's easy to hop from Helsinki to Stockholm, Helsinki to Tallinn, Estonia. So it's easy to get around, not only just within that Helsinki area and Finland, but also going to even other countries. Some of the things I enjoy is the harbor. The food is spectacular. If you love salmon, you love seafood, that's your place. I've never tasted seafood like this outside of my own my own home country where I was born. I've never tasted seafood like this. The seafood is good. And I'm from a Caribbean country. I'm from Antigua. The seafood is good in Finland. Like it's spectacular. So I think one of the things people can definitely be drawn to there is the amazing food. A lot of the landmarks are in the Helsinki area, but there's a lot of nature as well. So going out to the national parks, hiking, going to saunas, going to the lake areas, you're gonna feel like you're transformed to another place. If you're a city person and you want to take some time to go out into the country, Finland is the place for you. They have so much space and everybody's invited, right? It's not the type of place where it's like, okay, you stay over there, you stay over there, I don't want you in my area. They're very, very open, and we've gone to saunas there. I know people who have gone to public saunas there, and I mean, you got to get naked if you want to go to the public sauna, but they have a lot of things that would interest you if you're a curious traveler. If you're a curious traveler, is the
Oh
place
God.
for you.
Okay. So sound like Finland is young, wild, and free. That's what it sounds like.
No, but it's
Oh
some
my
old
God.
people. It's some old
Okay.
people in them
Okay.
saunas too. It's some old people in them saunas too. It's everybody. It's
Oh Lord
everybody.
have mercy. Uh,
It's
not the
everybody. It's
grannies. Not the
everybody.
grannies and the popos.
Yep, they be in the saunas too. It's
Wow.
everybody.
Wow. Um. So let's talk Antigua. Growing up in that country, like I'm going to reverse engineer this question. Growing up in Antigua, what were your thoughts about you know other countries abroad, as i.e. America? I talked to a lot of friends in different parts of the world. Most of the perspective is the same. They think about the dream of doing this and doing that when they come over to this country. But honestly, about 80% of my friends, they are okay with living in their country. Is peace of mind. They have their family. Um, just the flexibility and the thought process. So just kind of walk us through, like, your childhood in Antigua. How was it? Some things people should know about your beautiful country, because a lot of
Oh,
people, in America, they'll shoot to Jamaica, they'll shoot to, Carnival comes up, they'll shoot to Trinidad and Tobago, and they like skip all these other countries that are so amazing. So I just want to spend some time just on that, just you talking about how amazing your country is.
It is absolutely amazing. It's one of the most beautiful places you will ever see in your life. I came to the US when I was 8, so most of, my early childhood was spent in Antigua. I love it, miss it. I've gone there several times, since. I think we were there in May. We went last May. We were there December before that. So I go back home often. It's a treasure. It's a treasure. There's a different perspective now than in the early 90s, when my parents brought me to the US. I think back then it was okay, go to the US, there's opportunities, there's more there. And now everybody's going back home. So because there's so much
Yeah.
there. There's a certain peace of mind, everything is more slowed down, like the hustle and bustle. It's like coming here, back in the 90s, it's like, yes, come to US, come to New York, live the dream, and there's a lot there, but you realize over time you're just working and working and working and like what is there? What is there? There's no real life, right? And so I even try to tell people back home,
Hmm.
cousins back home, like I understand you might want to come, but it's not what you think it is, right? Like I remember back then, my mother
Yeah.
used to say, family thinks money grows on trees. They really thought money grew on trees out here, right? And it doesn't. You have to really work hard, and even when you work hard, it's still not enough, right? So I think growing up back home was an amazing experience. Going to the beach, being with family, it's just an experience to be had, and every time my children go back, they're just their breaths are taken away. Like they love it. They love it. It's one of their favorite places to go as well. So, and they've been to places. So, it's one of their favorite place to be as well. So, I understand. It's hard when you think about how families do work hard to get here and migrate and live that immigrant life and struggle. They want to make sure their kids are taken care of. But when you look at the bigger picture, you really have to evaluate why, why, right? If you're going to come here, you better have a purpose, get it done, and do what you got to do because there's a lot of struggle to be had coming to the US. Like it's not all roses. Money does not grow on trees.
Yeah.
And I've seen firsthand people who come and work and work and work, and there's just no stopping.
Money don't grow on trees, but yet they put the debt on us. Okay. Hey America. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I'm talking about you. So let's talk about more about your country. So like give the viewers and the listeners some key places to check out in your country. Stuff, and you being a local there, I know it's a lot of things that you're gonna share that they might not have never thought about going to see while they was in Antigua.
Well, first and foremost, there's a lot to do in the capital, which is St. John's. But outside of the capital, I mean, you've got beaches like Pigeon Point in English Harbor. You've got Dickinson Bay area. I know people might show up and they're like, oh, hey, there's Sandals. There's a lot of places next door to Sandals on that same stretch of beach that is just as magnificent and thousands of dollars less. And you get,
Mm.
a lot of good
Wow.
food and a lot of good experiences for less. Um, make sure that you're spending time going to local businesses, eating from, the people. There's a stadium called Viv Richards Stadium. He was one of our most prolific cricket players, and he was honored with having his own stadium, and there are people who have food there. My uncle, he has a restaurant there. So there's a lot to do, a lot of local restaurants, a lot of local chefs who have worked in five-star restaurants and taken their talents back home to work and serve the people. And I think it's important for you, for your listeners to really check out what the people are doing, whether it's the food stands or going to different places like Viv Richards Stadium to really experience the local food and experience some of what we have to offer. Go to a cricket match, right? Just experience some of the beauty of the island.
Wow.
There's even, I know
Yeah.
there's zip lining on the other side of the island near English Harbor. Where there's an area called Fig Tree Drive. There's zip lining there if you're looking for some adventure. There's a lot to do. I know you go on the beaches, they've got the catamarans and all these things. there's other stuff to do outside of that, right? So make sure you link up with people, link up with some locals who can like really help you experience some amazing, amazing things that we have to offer in Antigua.
When is Carnival? When is Carnival there? I think yours is a little bit earlier or later in the year. Like when is it?
Carnival is usually later. It's usually it's hard for me to remember because I remember when I was a child, my mother always said, "No carnival, no carnival, no carnival, and no carnival." So, listen, I just pretty much blank carnival out of my mind. As an adult, I'm like, yes, one day I am gonna plan and I will go to carnival. But I believe carnival is usually like in August. I believe carnival is in August. I'd have to double check that, but it's
Yeah,
usually in
yeah. I think it
August.
just passed.
So yeah,
Yeah, I think it
my
just
mother
passed. I
really
think it
pushed
just
carnival
passed.
out of my head. It was like, you're not going to carnival. Don't think about it. Don't even dream about it. Okay, mom.
To be honest with you, I'd never. You brought up about the seafood, and so I'm from Louisiana. So I'm gonna have to say here in the U.S. we have the best seafood. I'm just saying, I wouldn't necessarily say the reason why I brought up about Antigua is because the Caribbean islands, and during that time the Caribbean islands, the Creoles, the Morenos, all migrated to Louisiana. So it's a mix of so many different cultures: African culture, Caribbean culture. So love the seafood here. New Orleans is like the number one tourist city here. But speaking about Carnival, have you been to our Carnival here? Have you been to Mardi Gras?
I have been dreaming of going to Mardi Gras for so long. Even this year, I was like, okay, I got to think about what to do because last year when we had spring break from work, I went to London and Barcelona, and I'm like, okay, this year I'm gonna go to New Orleans. I'm going to New Orleans. Did I make it? No. So I'm coming. I don't know when, but I'm coming because I'm so fascinated by the food and just the culture, everything down there, and I want my children to experience it as well. So I'm trying to figure out how I can plan around their schedule for spring break so we can go down because I think there's a lot. There's a lot, and I'm so curious. I'm a very curious person, and I want to know all of
Yeah,
it.
it is. It is. Just a few things for you to try is, famous dishes, gumbo, any type of etouffee. Etouffee is like a stew. Crawfish etouffee, shrimp etouffee, fettuccine, just so many different amazing cultures. But speaking about food, any of these countries that you've been to, like the food, like you talked about the seafood in Finland. No, in Antigua. I'm sorry. And let's talk about some amazing dishes that you tried and some that you were curious about that it may have looked weird on the plate, but it actually tastes pretty good. Like share some of those stories
Hmm. Of any place that I've been or just Antigua?
of it. Oh, you can start off with Antigua. You can start off with that.
There's a lot to eat in Antigua. I mean, from dukana, sawfish, red snapper, fungi. I mean, we've got food like you can't believe. Like we've got food. We've got good food. If you like conch, I got the conch shell somewhere here. If you like conch, there's conch soup, conch fritters. I mean, they've made everything out of conch at this point. I'm not a fan of the texture, but the sauce is usually right, so I can't complain, right? If you're not
Hmm.
a fan of rubbery textures, I don't know if it's for you. If you're a calamari person, it might work out, but you've got to try the conch, try the fungi, try the dukana, try the saltfish, try any type of stuffed lobster. I mean, my uncle makes a mean stuffed lobster, mean stuffed lobster. So you go to Antigua, I mean, just try everything. Try everything, cause you're gonna be satisfied for
I'm gonna
sure.
have to check out. I'm gonna have to check out your uncle restaurant. What's the name of it?
You know he gave me the restaurant last time I was there, and I keep forgetting. But his name is Two's. So if you go
Oh,
there,
he
ask
going he
anybody
oh
for
if he ever
Two's.
listen to this, he gonna be upset.
If you ask anybody for Two's, where Two's restaurant is at, or where's the restaurant at Viv Richards Stadium, he'll be right there. He'll be right there. You'll find it.
Okay. Okay, like for me, for example, arepas. I love arepas whenever I visit Colombia, and I know people get tired of me talking about Colombia. I am gonna pub them every episode because I love the country so much, and arepas are amazing. So it's just like this corn tortilla stuffed with cheese. You can put, you know, turkey, ham, all type of different things in it. You can eat it for breakfast with soup. Like it's just amazing. And then when I went to El Salvador, pupusas were actually off the chain, similar but better. If I had to choose between the two, I'm sorry, arepas, but pupusas got to win. They got to win, hands down,
Nice.
hands down.
Nice.
So you consider yourself a solo traveler, and let's dive deeper into that because this this message to women and also to women in our diaspora is so important because they have so many women in the US, in Europe and other parts of the world as well, that are so afraid to travel alone and to travel by themselves. And some advice or share some stories or some ways how you was able to get over that mindset to kind of guide people as to why women should be empowered to travel alone.
I think first and foremost for me, I'm an adventurous person, and it could be good or bad. I don't mind taking risks, and I also want to be a role model for my daughter, who is a very cautious person. So I just want to show her that it's okay. I mean, she's 14 years old. Eventually, she's gonna have to leave the nest, and I just want her to feel comfortable wanting to see the world as much as I do and being curious about the world as much as I am. And I just want to be a good role model for her. I think it's also important for me to inspire other women, especially some of my friends who aren't really keen on solo travel, to just encourage them to do it a little bit more as well. Because even though you might be afraid or you're like, oh my gosh, I don't, how do I eat in this restaurant by myself? Or how do I go on this adventure by myself? Oh my, how do I stay in a hostel? You're going to be fine. It's just a matter of choosing the right places, right? Making sure you do your homework and just making sure that when you do go, you are open to connecting with people. Be mindful, you're not going to talk to everybody, but just make sure you're being mindful that it's okay to talk to people. It's okay to connect with people. Because I notice sometimes when you go on trips with whether it's family or girlfriends, you're not really open to meeting new people, right? But when you go by yourself, there are people who are willing to talk to you, connect with you, and you start building a connection with more people within the world. And I think that's what we need in this life, right? The more people we connect with and have
Yeah.
more real, genuine, relationships with, the better we're all off, right? So I think for me, just making sure I'm able to inspire my daughter and inspire other Black women to travel and just be more adventurous and curious. That's what matters to me.
Yeah, and I think it's so. You brought up some amazing key points, and I think the main it's a lot of things that issues within within our own subgroup that we have, but I think the number one issue with us sometimes is mental health. So how has traveling aided in helping you mentally? Because I know for me, I know when I travel, like I have a lot of issues here, right? But man, when I get on that plane and I'm in the air and I'm in the clouds, I just forget about all of that. And so how is traveling, cultivated your life and obviously cultivated your children's lives because you take them with you on some of your journeys. How has that cultivated your mindset and make you look at life a little bit different?
It it is definitely a mind set shift and change. And I think for me overall, it has helped to just push me and motivate me to be an even better person. I feel that if there are strangers who are willing to help you and support you and do things for you, why can't you do the same when you're back home, right? And so that's what has pushed me in a way and helped me mentally, that even when I'm going through some things back home, I'm always in that mindset of you're blessed, right? You're good. You're able to live a certain life and do certain things and help certain people and support certain people the way others have done for you. And that has shaped who I am as I'm going into my late 30s and becoming, a mom of teenagers and all that. It's just helped me overall. And I think it trickles down to others within my household and my children being able to see the world differently as well and be more open to people and not be so afraid to do things or go places or connect with people. They are both creatives, they're both artists, and I feel like them being able to travel has also influenced this within them, that they're able to just pretty much be who they want to be. And I feel good about that within them. And it also inspires me to also be who I want to be. And I think travel does that for you. It takes away some of the weight we have, right? And a lot of us have a lot of weight. And I feel like you said, when you get on that plane, I don't know if it's them clouds, but they just suck it up. They suck it up. And it's like you
Yeah.
just become a little bit more weightless. So that's how it feels for me.
So when you're over in these other countries, I know the feeling that I get, and I'm going to share the statistic with you. And I've been doing it in every episode, and it may surprise you. I want to get your reaction. I want to get your thoughts on it personally. So based on data that I pulled from multiple sources, all around the same percentage. So in America, only 49%, actually 65% Caucasian, for only 49% African Americans travel domestically. So that means that you might have people that have never left their state. I know people personally, and it's not a knock at them. I just know people personally that haven't, being from Louisiana, haven't went as further west as Texas, and haven't went as further east as Mississippi. So what do you think about that statistic? And then two,
Wow.
the second statistic is 17% of African Americans in this country travel internationally. Like, what do you think about those numbers?
Wow. Those numbers are they're worrying. They're worrying, right? Because I think so much of
Hmm.
us can benefit from travel, and it's scary. It's scary to think that that's what the numbers are looking like, right? And I tell my children all the time, like,
Yeah,
they're so fortunate. They're so fortunate to be able to have the opportunity to travel. And when you hear those numbers, I'm like, yeah, these kids are really, really fortunate, right? Like that's
yeah.
sad. That's sad to hear. Something has to change. I don't know if
Mhm.
it's a fear. I don't know if it's finances. I don't know what it is, but something has to change, right? Because it's a big world out there.
I think a part of it is the media. It's the Matrix. It's America. It's the news. It's the paint the fear of everything. When you turn on the news, everything is fear, 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 fear. It just really binds you and constrains you to the point. Like, I just recently started traveling. I shared that on the previous episode. I just recently started traveling, and the biggest regret that I ever had was not doing it sooner. I allowed so many things to get into my head, coming from a small town in Gramercy, Louisiana, very small town, 20, 25 miles away, out on the outskirts of New Orleans and Baton Rouge. And I just was, I don't know, it's just the mindset. I think a part of it is mindset. And I think too, financially as well, wealth. We just got into the wealth game, and a lot of concepts that have been presentable to other ugh, ethnic groups um have, they had that information at their fingertips at birth. So, it's slightly different. Which leads me to my next point. So what are some ways that you find travel deals? Any apps that you like to use? Your go-to apps that you use to find deals, or when you're in these countries, to set up tours and to set up different services outside of the country. What are some of your go-to apps that you use? Maybe some ways that that you save as well, and I'll share my thought process behind that too as well.
All right. Sorry, I had to get my charger. My phone was dying. I like using Booking. Booking is definitely one of my number one sites to use. I definitely am one to check reviews. I will be on TripAdvisor and every place else to be looking for what is not the place to go to, what's not looking right, where's not safe. I also like using Viator. So I do cooking classes when I go to certain countries, and Viator is one of the sites that I go to set up cooking classes. So Viator for activities, booking for hotels, flights. I usually like get on to Google Flights and just look at prices, seeing where prices are at, and then I'll go to the specific airline to book my flight. For me, it's worked better to book my flight specifically through a certain airline. I know there are people who have other travel hacks and they hack it. They hack it.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I just try to go through Google Flights, see, what prices are looking like, and then just book through the specific airline.
I uh I dedicate myself to a certain airline. Honestly, um, I made a few reels, but that I'll be posting that soon. But my go-to airlines are American Airlines and Spirit. I fly them faithfully because the country that I love so much, Colombia, is so easy to just hop on a plane that's painted in yellow with black lettering and head over to these cities. Some people have some perceptions of it. It's perfectly fine, but the reason why I keep bringing that up, y'all, is because it's very important for you to dedicate yourself to some type of airline. The reason why you accumulate points, or i.e. miles, in some of these different airlines, and that you're able to travel for a very affordable price. Like for instance, soon I'll be going to Cali, Colombia. Right, I'm flying Spirit. I'm going to Cali, Colombia, and the day that I'm going, I only have to use 8,900. I'm sorry, 8,900 points, and with taxes, I only have to pay $45. For one ticket. So to me, dedicating to a certain airline, but like I said, everybody is different. Some other apps that y'all may not be aware of are Skyscanner. Skyscanner is another good app. If you want to go to the more budget-friendly airlines like Spirit, Avianca, Latham, depending on where you're at in the country, Frontier, so some other airlines that you can check out as well. A lot of people use Skip Lag. That's another website. Basically, what Skip Lag is that you know basically your layover wherever you're going to, your layover is actually your destination, so you're actually cutting the price in half. All right, the airlines are trying to ban it right now, so guys, y'all need to use it. Y'all need to use it before they find a way to cancel that business. It's called Skip Lag, so y'all check that out. Some other ways that you may not have known is that a lot of these different companies have a pay now platform, to where it's not with your credit, but you can actually put a card on file to where it takes out a certain percentage. Every 2 weeks it'll take it out. Airbnb has the same play whenever you're doing Airbnbs and those type of things. So I just wanted to take that time just to share that with the viewers and the listeners about some ways that you can find a sweet spot and find the deals. So let's break the myth about this, y'all. So I am currently, I have a small group of friends, and one thing that people will not do to me is Houston, Miami, and Vegas me to death. And the reason why I say that is because that those flights to these cities, you can get a cheaper flight going overseas, depending on where you're going. You could get a cheaper flight overseas and go see the world, y'all. And for the life of me, I don't understand that.
I know. I know. I know. Um, I'm here with you 100% with the not doing the Miami, Houston, Vegas thing. Um, I honestly feel like I do need to see more of the US because when was it? April, I visited Columbus, Ohio. Another work trip. And I was actually surprised. I did not realize that they had, it wasn't just tumbleweeds rolling in the street. And I feel like they make it so hard for us because the tickets are so high. They really do. I could have definitely went to
Mm-hmm.
Spain with the price of the ticket to Columbus. And it's disturbing. It's
Yeah,
really
yeah, that's why
disturbing.
I'm saying that. Yeah,
It doesn't incentivize us, right? You could literally, like you said, hop on a flight to Colombia for less. I mean, significantly less. There's something wrong with that. There's something seriously wrong with that.
yeah,
So I understand where you're coming from. I
yeah,
really
yeah.
do.
I'm gonna share something with you that might surprise you. I never, domestically or internationally, I never book round trip tickets. Never, ever, one way. I feel like you come out somewhere. You come out so much better, guys. So I'm sharing this. This is a travel hack, okay? This is a travel hack. If you book one ways, I want you to go on Google Flights right now. Those who are listening and those who are watching, whenever you get the time, go check out Google Flights. It's pretty easy. So if you go on the Explore page, right? You go on the Explore page, you don't necessarily have a destination on where you're trying to go, but yet you want to go somewhere on a certain month. So you select that month. Instead of doing a round trip, do one ways, and you'll come out that it's going to be significantly cheaper. And the reason why is you're not paying all these gas fees, you're not paying all these taxes, all the different fees that's included in the ticket. Because when you look at the base of a ticket or the breakdown of a ticket, it's really not the plane ticket that costs us the most money. You paying for the taxes no matter where you're going, whatever country you're going to. You're paying for the taxes in America, and you're also going to pay the tourism tax in the other country. So you have to factor all that in. What do you think about what do you think about one way?
I'm here for it. So last year, that trip that I went on to Barcelona and London, that was actually supposed to happen in 2020. And we all know what happened back then. Trip was canceled, so we rebooked, and that's how I did it. I booked one way going because looking at the flight from New York to Barcelona, I mean, the amount of money was ridiculous. So I was like, okay, let's do a little one way there, one way back. Did a one way to London, one way to Barcelona, one way back, then a one way back to the US. And it
Yeah,
actually turned out to be so much cheaper. And I mean, it's definitely one of the travel hacks that I've started using um since last year, and I definitely recommend others to get on it because it does save you a lot of money, and I don't think people have caught on to it as yet, but definitely booking one way, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
yeah. Now you do have some countries that will make you book a you have to have a return ticket in some of these countries. So I'll give you an example. El Salvador, y'all see the flag in the back. That's my second favorite country, by the way. Actually, I'm rocking El Salvador colors today. I didn't notice that. But if you go to El Salvador, just so y'all know, to get a visa there is $12. That's the first country I ever had to pay to get a stamp. So
Wow.
to get into El Salvador is $12. Yeah, yeah, it's $12.
Okay. All
twelve
right,
dollars
all
to get
right.
in, and yeah, $12 to get in, and then when you think about it that way, it's like, it's okay. But before you get processed through customs, they're like, okay, I see you only have one way. Where's your other ticket? They made me purchase a ticket right there on the spot, or they wouldn't let me into their country. So
No.
some countries are different. Yeah,
So
it's a hack,
people got to
but you
do
got
their
to be,
homework.
yeah, yeah, got to do your homework. So you brought up about danger. How do you find out if a country is dangerous or not? What do you do to research that?
I am constantly looking at either Numbeo or just really looking at what people are saying in TripAdvisor as far as what certain communities are like, what certain areas are like. Like, is it going to be a lot of pickpocketing? You know, I've been very fortunate to travel and not have any issues, but it's because I'm very mindful when I travel. I'm not wearing any flashy jewelry. I've got my things like tucked inside my clothing. So it makes it very difficult for these pickpockets to try to come get me, or for anybody, because I'm not making it very easy for them. I'm not walking with my phone out in my hand or like with my camera like this. So if you know that there's an area where they're known for pickpockets, or they're known, to stick up people, just be mindful of that. Know how you're dressing, know, how you have your pocketbook. Don't just have your bag hanging off your shoulder. I usually wear my pocketbook across my body and my hands on it at all times. At all times. I mean, walking around Rome, Barcelona, like the bag across me and I'm holding on to it. Be mindful of where you are, be mindful of your surroundings. Even if you're out for drinks, don't just leave your drink open. Like, just things that I think are common sense, but sometimes people don't even think about it. Just be mindful of that. Check out where, there are areas where there's a little bit of crime, and just be mindful. No one's saying don't go, because I'm here for traveling and being adventurous, but just be mindful. Don't let these things hold you back from going where you need to go. Just make sure that you're being mindful of how you're presenting yourself and how you are holding on to your valuables, so that you don't get them taken away.
Wow, you brought up an amazing point, and also that goes back to the solo travel aspect, y'all. So if y'all listening, no matter if you're a solo traveler or somebody that travels with a group, the other thing I'll say is that another good site is for you to check out is that one thing our country does is they give you information on every single country that you travel to. If you go to travel.state.gov, and pretty much on there you can select the countries, and it's a numbering system between one through four. So one is safe, two is like, it's still okay. Three is kind of like, hey, you want to consider, and then four would be like, don't travel at all. So things that's going on in Ukraine right now, I don't think anybody wants to go to Ukraine right now, right? So that's a level four. Somebody like me, a level three, I'll still go. Colombia is a three, but I will go to Colombia tomorrow. I will go to it tomorrow. Now you brought up about Rome. Did you get a chance to see the Colosseum?
I did, and we walked through it. It was an experience for my kids. They watch documentaries and things like that, and I think it's good for them to see these things in person. Like, they're actually real. You see them on TV, they're actually real. So it was an experience to be had for them.
Mm. How did real Italian food taste? The real.
Okay, so I don't care if I get shade. I don't care.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The food in Florence was 1,000 times better than Rome. I feel like Rome, they're just catering to tourists. I'm so serious. It's like, you look at you like, what is this? What is this? Now, if you eat in, some other areas, maybe outside of the city center, or outside of the tourist areas, the food would be a little bit better. We had some ravioli that, I mean, this is not Chef Boyardee. I never tasted ravioli like this in my life. And I've hated ravioli my entire life. And I had this ravioli and I was like, oh, okay. This is ravioli. So I think certain foods, certain areas, they really do cater to tourists. But if you go outside of the tourist areas, go outside of the city center, and even in when we went to Florence, the food, oh my gosh. Like, we didn't stay in the city center, we stayed in Campo di Marte, which is outside. And I mean, the food. Like, there were restaurants that I went back to several times because I was just like, yeah, I need this again. And I need it
Mm.
again. Because the food just so good. Fresh, fresh, fresh. Just amazing, amazing food. Hands down. So stay away from the tourist areas and you'll get some real Italian food.
Mm.
I mean, and they love their steak in Florence. They love their steak in Florence. I mean, it's mooing. It's
Come
still
on.
moving. Mooing. It's still mooing, but they love it. They love it. So if you like steak, Florence is for you. I think you can find some good pasta dishes in Rome if you stay away from the tourist center. And I find Italian food to be good. I really do. It just depends on where you are.
Okay. I just think that you know, and this will be my last question to you, and but people need to know the reason we do certain things, right? Your why, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's what's holding a lot of people back, because your why has to be so strong that you block out the negativity, that you block out comments that your family and friends might be making, like, why you want to travel there? It's dangerous. Why are you going over here? So can you tell the people what's your why for, you know, the things that you do and the places that you travel? And also just some last bit of encouragement to those that still may be on the fence about, traveling abroad.
So my why definitely comes from being the type of person who wants to be better, see better, do better in this life. And I feel that by traveling, it makes me more whole, more complete. Um, there's a lot that we have to deal with in our everyday, especially here in the US. And for me, travel is just like having a little breath of fresh air. And it just brings me back to who I want to be and why that's important to me. Um, and again, just being able to inspire my children to do the same, right? Just be who they want to be and be adventurous
Mhm.
people. My words of encouragement has to definitely be just do it, right? I know you might have family telling you, where are you going? Why are you doing that? They're not paying your bills. Go where you want to go. Do what you want to do and live the life that feels right for you. Because at the end of the day, when you're on your deathbed, you're the one that has to answer, for the things that you didn't do or the things you wanted to do and you didn't make it to. So live your life the way you
Yeah,
want to. Make sure you're going out there and living whatever adventure you want to live because you don't know what tomorrow brings. And because you don't know what tomorrow brings, you have to make sure that you're living every day the way you want. So that's my final word of encouragement.
definitely, man. So y'all heard it here first, man. Again, this is first of all, I just want to appreciate you for coming on. Your content is amazing, and your story is amazing, and what you do, what you do, and how we go about this. And I said this before we actually, press that red button to hit record. Is that, we're the new Green Book now. We're the people that's going out here. We're the people that are going into uncharted territories to share travel stories and to share travel tips and advice for people to feel comfortable to travel abroad and also domestically. So I just want to thank you, KJ, for that. And also, I want to give this time out for you to share your information with the viewers and listeners about how they can follow you, how can they support you, and all that good stuff.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I definitely appreciate coming on here. I've had people come on my podcast before, so it's really interesting to be a guest on someone else's. It was definitely fun and interesting. Thank you again. For your listeners, they can find my podcast on Spotify and on other places. It is called Love's Teaching Will Travel. You can also check out my blog and my YouTube, which is KJ Around the World. It's all one word. Don't try to separate it because you won't find me. So again, KJ Around the World, it's one word. So just check me out. Show some love.
And y'all heard it here first. So her information is going to be on the show notes. Also, if you're really vibing with the podcast, if you're really enjoying the show, please leave a review. The review actually helps the show, rank. That I know without a shadow of a doubt that the Melanated family is going to leave a review. Leave a review if you're really vibing with it. And then secondly, if you're also interested in group trips, you can go on and check out the group trip arm of my company, the Wings Up Society. Y'all can check that out. And lastly, if you're not necessarily a listener and you're more so a viewer, you can check out the video interview of this podcast and also the other podcast episodes that have been presented so far on my YouTube at Aston R. Williams. And again, KJ, I really do appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And y'all know my motto: I'll see you at the top because the bottom is just too crowded. Peace.